news. The LA County Sheriff's Department mourning the loss of those 3 deputies.
People living near that East LA training facility where the explosion happened described the blast as a big boom.
That explosion happened this morning around 7:30 at the facility on Northeastern Avenue. The 3 deputies, all specialists in arson and explosives, died in the blast. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna calling it the largest loss of life for the department since 1857. He said the fallen deputies collectively served in LA County for 74 years. One of them had been with the department for 33 years.
I have met with 2 of the 3 families thus far, and as you can imagine, those were extremely challenging conversations. So, anyways, ready for questions.
Sheriff Luna, of course, getting choked up there at today's news conference. The governor calling this a heartbreaking day for California. LA Mayor Karen Bass also sending condolences to the sheriff's office and the families impacted. A processional for the fallen deputies is set to happen in about an hour at 5 o'clock. We will be following that live.
But first, let's begin our live team coverage outside that sheriff's facility. NBC4's Lolita Lopez has been there all day following the latest on the investigation and reaction to the blast. Lolita?
Kathy and Carolyn, you actually just spoke about the procession that's about to happen in at least within the hour. We just saw medical examiner vehicles going in this way. We are on Eastern Avenue at Lotta Drive. This is the location that has been closed off to the public as they continue their investigation here at the training facility to find out what happened during that explosion. An explosion that folks around here say, you know, they have heard of training exercises and other events here, but something like that, what they heard today, they've never heard before.
I heard like an echo sound, but it was, you know, kind of from far. So then I heard, but it was like a boom.
It just sounded horrible. It had a foreboding feel to it, almost like a 0.1 earthquake almost.
Neighbors in this East LA community react to the loud sound and rumbling felt by an explosion at the Sheriff's Arson Explosives Detail facility on this large LA County training campus on Eastern Avenue around 7:30 this morning.
This was too early and too big to be a fireworks situation. It had a depthness and a reverberation about it that just said something, you know, something is very wrong here.
The LA County Sheriff's Department says 3 sheriff's deputies with a combined 74 years on the job died while handling an explosive that had been moved here from another location. Sheriff Robert Luna also says the deputies who passed away were highly specialized members of the Special Enforcement Bureau who know how to handle sensitive and potentially dangerous materials.
They are fantastic experts, and unfortunately, I lost 3 of them today.
I received a phone call and I was notified by a family member.
Mario Gonzalez works in the neighborhood and says he got that call about 8:30 this morning, letting him know his friend of 10 years was one of the deputies who died. Tell me about him.
He's a good guy, family man. It sucks. You know, it sucks to lose somebody as a good person, you know.
He did not want to say more out of respect for his friend's family. Sheriff Luna says he will be speaking with more relatives before releasing the names of those who died.
I have met with 2 of the 3 families thus far, and as you can imagine, those were extremely challenging conversations.
Yeah, an emotional sheriff also saying that there will be counseling services for employees here as this has become such a difficult situation. We're seeing a lot of activity here as a procession is about to begin within the next hour. We should also mention that the sheriff said this is an isolated incident and they believe that there are no other threats for the community. That's the very latest here from East LA. Lolita Lopez, NBC4 News.
And Lolita, as you mentioned, the deputies who work in the arson explosives detail are the Sheriff's Department's experts when it comes to handling incendiary devices.
And our investigative reporter, Eric Leonard, covers local law enforcement for us. He joins us live with what this unit does and the kinds of cases they handle. Eric.
Hi. Well, the Arson and Explosives Detail, which we often refer to as the Bomb Squad, is part of a number of smaller units at the Sheriff's Department that all operate out of this Biscaloo Center near East LA and Monterey Park. It's where this unit's offices are based and where they keep a lot of their specialized equipment that they use when they're called out to investigate a suspicious item. The explosion or explosions today happened in the parking lot near their offices, close to where some of their specialized vehicles are stored. The Sheriff's Explosives unit operates a little bit differently from the LAPD and other police agencies in that many of the deputies who work there have to be detectives first before they become trained bomb technicians, and that's because they're often responsible not just with dealing with a potential explosive device, but also investigating any violations of state or sometimes even federal law that are connected with those discoveries. Becoming a bomb technician can take many years. There's an enormous amount of training. Some of that is done by federal agencies and the military, and it's an inherently risky job. The technicians often have to examine suspicious items by hand and then devise methods to remove those devices from cars, homes, or businesses, also many times by hand, using ropes or pulleys. And not only do they learn how to disable explosives, they're also taught how to use them to assist the sheriff's SWAT team. There are situations where doors or walls have to be blasted open, and it's members of the explosives unit that trains others on how to do this and then sometimes goes out themselves to set up the explosives they use. Now, lots of people in the law enforcement world that deal with explosives have expressed concern about what happened today. Tell us it's far too soon to know exactly how this happened or what went wrong, but numerous officials that we've talked with told us one or more suspected explosive devices detonated while these deputies were examining them, and that the explosion was very, very powerful. It's a devastating loss for this group. There aren't that many deputies and detectives with the skill and expertise to do this kind of work. Back to you guys.
It's a huge loss on so many levels. Thank you, Eric. And as the investigation is in its early stages, there are many questions that still remain. What were these explosive devices and where do they come from?
Yeah, joining us live now is NBC4 law enforcement analyst, former FBI agent and counterterrorism expert, Dr. Errol Southers. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me, Kathy and Carolyn, and my deepest condolences.
Yes, indeed. You know, we've talked about this investigation still underway, but can you walk us through some of the basic protocol when it comes to moving explosive devices?
Well, yes. First of all, this call came in last night from the city of Santa Monica when the persons reported that they had something that resembled perhaps military ordnance. The explosives and arsons detail, as Eric described, which is the bomb squad, went out, and the first thing they do is assess it to see whether they can render it safe. If they can't render it safe, then they would have done something on site. As was mentioned, these are the experts. They are the subject matter experts when it comes to explosives. They deemed it was appropriate and safe for them to move it. They moved it to Biscayne Center last night. And then, unfortunately, when they were handling it this morning is when it exploded. Early reports are saying that the materials that were involved in this were not part of an IED or an improvised explosive device, nor was this a training exercise accident. So it's going to be very interesting as the investigation goes on to determine what materials there were and what exactly caused this to happen after it had been retrieved and transported safely.
And Dr. Southers, how do you think this investigation will unfold? Are explosions particularly difficult to investigate? And what evidence are they going to be looking at in addition to what you just talked about?
They're difficult, but the people that do this all the time. They're very good at it. The ATF, or Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency, was out there. They immediately called their NRT, which is their National Response Team. The National Response Team will come out. They will look at these materials. They will determine how they were put together, and then they will determine what happened. So actually, they will reverse engineer the construction of this item to determine what it was and what caused it to have this accident happen today.
Do you think this tragedy could lead to changes in how the department handles explosives going forward?
I think it's too early to say that. When you are I've been around a lot of specialized units throughout my career, and I have to tell you, with all due respect to the people that I've worked with, no one's more careful than bomb techs. So it's going to take a sea change, I think, for a policy or procedure change to happen in this domain, because they do it so often, they do it so well. I can't tell you how many bomb calls we receive in Los Angeles every single week. So I think it's going to be a real slow and meticulous and methodical investigation before someone determines that we have to make a change.
Okay.
Absolutely. Dr. Errol Southers, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we will bring you the latest breaking developments on our website, NBCLA.com, and on the NBCLA app. In the meantime, our live team coverage will continue right here throughout the day, because at 4:30, Ted Shin is going to join us ahead of the procession that is set to begin later today for the deputies.